Alright guys, this week I'm coming to you with a book from the romance genre. For me, after finishing a good fantasy and working on a spicy mafia romance, a good hometown, wholesome country love story is a good palate cleanser for me. And I am going to be reading chapter 2 from Unbreak Me by C.A. Grieco. It is from the Magnolia Falls Ranch series. This book is currently out, and her second one in the series, Unchain Me, comes out May 30th. So this one you definitely have to read before you get the second one. So I will be showcasing this one today, and then hopefully after the second one comes out, I will be showcasing a chapter from that one also. But before we get started, if you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, and we'll have more chapters from different books, different genres, and hopefully some new authors for you guys coming up soon. Okay, so the reason I'm starting in chapter 2 is because this book has a few trigger warnings in it. It's about a woman dealing with the aftermath of her brother taking his own life. There are scenes of domestic violence, murder, and drug and alcohol use. Chapter 1 focuses more on the main character's brother's funeral and how she is dealing with it. I felt like it was a little heavy, so I decided to go with chapter 2. It's a little lighter, a little happier. So chapter 2 is still from Claire's perspective. I dragged the knife through the tape of the box in front of me, taking a breath as I wrapped my fingers around the edges of the stiff cardboard, using every ounce of my power to attempt to rip them open. Just do it, I scold myself, with frustration that such a simple task seems to be impossible. Claire, it's only been a month since his funeral. You don't have to go through all his stuff yet. Hell, you could leave the boxes sealed forever if that's what you need to do, Trish says as she's leaning against the doorframe. She looks as exhausted as I feel. She never complains about the late nights and early mornings spent unpacking, even though it shows in the dark circles under her eyes. All he wanted to do was stay in New York. The minute he was gone, I packed up every piece of him in boxes and shoved them in an empty room in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, I say as I swallow back the tears threatening to spill out. He would have hated it here. This is where you need to be. You gave up taking this job for months so Michael could be back home. He told you to take it back then so he wouldn't be mad at you for taking it now. You're the best counselor I know, and you've worked so hard to get this position. Yeah, a counselor that couldn't even save her own brother, I say, dropping my head onto the box beneath me. The reality of the imposter, I feel like, slaps me in the face, something I've been trying to shove down for months. She walks over and sits in front of me. You can't put this on you. You gave every piece of yourself trying to save him. If your boss had any doubts, she wouldn't have offered you the center again, she says as she gently grabs the box from under me, carrying it over to the pile stacked neatly under the double window. You know you won't be able to save everyone, but you sure as hell make a difference in people's lives. You can't deny that. I look around the room again, the hardwood floors and the white walls only broken up by what feels like an impossible number of boxes containing my brother's entire life. This room feels like a definition of hell. The thought of digging through every memory of his eating away at me. I thought if I had the moving company pack it all up, it would be easier to go through than seeing it all in its place in his room, I tell her as I choke back the panic climbing up my throat. It's been a hard month. You lost your brother, then packed up and moved from the only place you've ever known. Then the apartment fell through. We might have been sleeping in one of these boxes if your boss didn't add housing to the job for you, Trish says to me, reaching out to help me off the ground before wrapping me tightly in her arms. It could take a month or it could take forever. No matter how long it takes, you need to stop being so hard on yourself. If anyone wouldn't want you to beat yourself up, it would be Michael. Remember what he always said? Worrying is for people who want gray hair and wrinkles, I recite, a laugh breaking through the pain that has clouded most of my favorite memories of him. We've been unpacking for weeks. I think it's getting to us. I don't even know when I last washed my hair. She pauses, reaching up to the tangled blonde mess on top of her head. and cringes. Let's go out tonight, clear our heads, and get back at it tomorrow. Maybe you're right, I sigh. The weight of everything seems too heavy. I need to get out of here. I'm losing my mind. There's a small bar about 10 minutes away with live music Friday nights. We need showers. You need an outfit. It's already 8. We should probably head out soon, she says. Her just exhausted voice is now full of energy. I will be right there, I tell her, smiling at the burst of joy that finally found its way into the house. She looks at me for a second, assessing if I'm okay. Go, I laugh. If I get there first, I'm going to pick my outfit. A horrified look crosses her face. Absolutely not. I'll meet you up there, she yells back at me, already halfway up the steps. I turn back, taking one more look around the room before grabbing the cool metal handle and shutting the door, unsure of how long it will be before I open it again. What do you think the guys are like out here? You think they are cowboys? I could use a good cowboy, Trish says from the passenger seat, reapplying her lip gloss in the mirror for the 10th time since we left the driveway 5 minutes ago. You, I ask, with confusion in my tone. What about Brett? She freezes. Something flashes across her face before plastering on a smile that is too large to be real. I broke up with him before we left, she states simply, as if she didn't just drop a bomb that her 6-year relationship had ended. I thought he was moving down here after he finished this last work project. There is no work project, she shrugs. And you're okay with this? Yeah, it's better this way. Her voice clipped. Trish. I said I'm good, she says, turning to me. I just don't want to talk about it. It's been crazy. Can we just forget it and have a good night? Yeah, sorry, I agree, nodding. Silence takes over the car as I stare ahead. The only light on the street is my headlights. Finally, the endless fields surrounding us opens to the smallest town I've ever been to. A gas station sits on our left, the sign half lit up. Next to it sits the local market Trish and I visit once a week. The bricks are worn and cracked. The owners are an older couple that bicker at each other across the store while people shop. Honestly, they are the sweetest people I've met in my life. The supermarket back in New York would have been bigger than this entire town, but nothing in me misses the chaos of the city. Across the street sits the bar. Every time we've been out this way, the building looked desolate, but tonight, neon lights glow across the front. The parking lot is filled with lifted trucks that flow into the neighboring field. Maybe this wasn't a great idea, I say, glancing over at Trish. Are you kidding? This looks amazing, she says. This is the most human interaction I'm going to have for another month. We are going. I shove back the anxiety, realizing she's right as I pull my car into the field, parking it in the first available spot before I talk myself out of it. Of course, it's sandwiched between 2 massive trucks, making me feel more out of place than ever. Trish jumps from the car the second I shift into park. I follow behind, catching my reflection in the truck mirror by me. My makeup darker than I would have ever dared to make it, but my blue eyes stand out more than normal. Soft, sandy curls flow past my shoulders, reaching to the neckline of the black dress Trish forced me to wear. You are keeping that dress, by the way, Trish says as I turn to face her. The sadness wiped away completely and replaced with a huge smile. I'm not stealing your dress, Trish. Oh, yes, you are, because I refuse to take it back. That dress looked nothing like that on me. It was made for your curves, Trish says, looking at me with a reassuring smile. I promise you look amazing. Now let's go have some fun before this humidity turns us into frizz balls. She grabs my hand, dragging me behind her through the crowded bar doors, the cool air from the air conditioner welcoming us. Wow, it's packed in here. Maybe I should try to find us a table while you order the drinks from the bar, I say, craning my neck for a space over the crowd where we could sit. Good idea. Coke for you, she asks, letting go of my hand and heading towards the bar. I nod and start my search. The dance floor is to my left, with people laughing and line dancing to a country song I've never heard before. A crowd is formed thickly around them, taking any table available. I look back at Trish, eyes followed her as she walks through the crowd. In heels, she towers above most of the other women at 5'10". I know most of the men in here are already thinking of ways to get the courage to approach her. Back in New York, the modeling agencies practically threw themselves at her, begging her to work for them when they would see her on the streets. She would just laugh in their faces and leave them standing there in shock when she denied them. Trish, built like a model with the brain of a genius, hides from almost everyone but me. She walks up to the bar, squeezing in next to a man in a cowboy hat that towers over her. Not by accident, I'm sure. He looks over, a huge smile lighting up his face as he takes her in. He should buy me some time to find us something. I see a girl on the other side of the room grabbing her bag from the back of a chair. There's a chance it's a bathroom break, maybe just a trip up to the bar, but I'm not risking losing that spot. As I shuffle through the thick crowd, a deep laugh captures my attention. I turn and see the most beautiful man standing with a group of his friends. He seems to be ready to leave. His dark hair hangs across his forehead as he leans in and shakes one guy's hand. I scan down his fitted white t-shirt, just tight enough to make out the definition of his muscles underneath. Did I just drool? Claire, get a grip. I rip my eyes up and lock onto a pair of piercing green ones staring back at me, a knowing smirk gracing his face. Crap. What's the best plan of action when you're caught staring down a man in public? Apparently wave, because that's what I do. As my arm shoots up and my hand flies left to right, I internally curse myself. Claire, you are an idiot that is going to die alone. My inner monologue screams at me, but it's too late to save myself. I continue to let my hand awkwardly fly through the air. His one brow shoots up on his head, and that's enough fuel to jerk my arm firmly back to my side, my eyes following suit and shooting quickly to the ground. The warmth of embarrassment climbs its way to my cheeks. Apparently, every rational thought of watching where I'm walking is thrown out the window as my body collides with the hard chest. The 5-inch heels Trish insisted I wear give way in slow motion, the unforgiving floor smashing into my tailbone, shooting pain up my spine, which is quickly drowned out by the rain of freezing cold liquid cascading down my head. I run my hands down my now soaked face, trying to remove the burning alcohol which has seeped into my eyes. Fantastic. I have yet to look up, but I can feel the crowd gathered around me, the murmurs drowning out the music in the background. It feels like minutes drag by as I sit, attempting my plot to escape, when a pair of worn brown cowboy boots appear, almost touching my leg. Are you all right? The deep voice that fills my ears asks. I take the risk of looking up and locking eyes with the same green pair I was staring at only a few seconds ago. The same gorgeous man is now leaning over top of me, reaching for my hand while I'm drenched in rum and coke. Kill me now. Please just take me from my misery, I beg God, as if he is going to just instantly grant my wish here and now. I will die alone. When I get home, I'll just buy a cat. First of many, I'm sure. Realizing I'm still staring at him, I reach out, grasping his hand, a small spark shooting through me as I allow him to hoist me to my feet. My prayer obviously has fallen on deaf ears. You know how they say everyone has the fight or flight response? Well, the fight in me must be dead because I currently feel like a trapped little mouse surrounded by a dozen starving cats. I spot the glowing exit sign across the bar, and without a word, not even a thank you to the sexy green-eyed man, I walk away. Let's be honest, I don't walk. I run, hitting shoulders all the way towards the door. I shove through the crowd locked on the exit door, desperate to escape. When my hands hit the door, it gives way to the thick summer air. I embrace it, praying Trish somehow sees me run out. The crowd outside of the bar quiets down as they take me in. I can only imagine how I look. I try my best to square my shoulders, focused on my car that now seems miles away. When I get there, I will text Trish to let her know that I'm okay. Hey, it's the man from inside. I keep walking. Hey, he says again, running to catch up with me. Are you okay? I stop, twisting around, causing him to almost barrel into me. Shit, he says, coming to an almost instant halt. Sorry to follow you out here. I just wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm fine. I state simply, turning to walk the last few feet to my car, when I realize I gave Trish the keys to put in her bag. I smack my hands on the door before collapsing against the side of it. The weight of it is all too much. My brother is dead. Everything I try to do is a disaster. All I wanted was one night to forget it all, and I can't even get that. I want to scream at how unfair life can be. Instead, I stare at the sky, taking in the vastness of the stars, unlike anything we had back at home. You sure you're okay? The voice breaks through my silence, and I look over at him, standing awkwardly by the front of the car, looking unsure if he should just step any closer. Just trying to debate if I can afford to move again, I say, trying to hide the break in my voice. Can I sit? He asks, pointing to the ground next to me. Stranger danger screams in my mind, but I drown it out and pat the ground next to me as an invitation. If you want to join my pity party down here, sure, I tell him, refusing to look up. I'm sure whatever's going on inside is way more fun than this, though. I doubt that. They were driving me nuts. You gave me an excuse to leave, he says, sliding down next to me, following my gaze up to the endless stars. Thank you for in there, I say, turning to face him. When his eyes meet mine, I realize he is even more gorgeous up close. Sharp jaw peppered with dark hair. His eyes a bright green color that reminds me of the pieces of sea glass my grandfather and I would find on the beach when I was a child. It's okay. It's not every day a beautiful girl waves at me in a crowded bar. I feel honored. He laughs, causing me to blush. I'm just glad you're okay. It looked like you landed hard. Yeah, mostly just hurt my pride. And my tailbone, which was currently throbbing, but I figured I'd admit my butt pain to the hot stranger. So you're new to town, he asks. Yep, just out here making great first impressions, I say. My best friend and I moved here last month. Figure we could use a break from unpacking. You realize if you move, you will miss out on this view, right? I follow his gaze back up to the sky. Well, it looks like I'm staying then, because this view is the most amazing thing I've ever seen, I say to him. It was for me too. Before tonight, he says, eyes locked in on me. I scrunch my eyebrows in confusion, but he doesn't address it, just turns back to the sky, rubbing his jaw, seeming deep in thought as silence once again fills the air. You know, they say Coke makes a great fabric softener if you're worried about the dress. I'm not sure if he's being serious or trying to break the tension that has fallen around us, but a laugh falls from my lips. I think it's the first time in over a year, and before I know it, tears are falling down my cheeks. I'm so sorry, I say between breaths as I try desperately to pull myself together. All the emotions I've held in for so long seem to pour out of me. Every tear I've swallowed back down, from laughter, anger, sadness, seems unending through the fit of giggles. I look over at him, expecting a look of annoyance, maybe him running back to the safety of the bar. Instead, he stares at me with a huge smile. Sorry, I repeat, the laughter slowly dying out. I can't remember the last time I laughed like that. You don't have to be sorry, he says, leaning forward, gently pulling a piece of my hair that is now stuck to my cheek in the sticky Coke. We both freeze, eyes locked in on each other, two complete strangers surrounded only by the light of the night sky. Thoughts pinball through my mind as his gaze drops to my lips, sending my heart into a frenzy. A man whose name I don't even know, but for the first time in my life, I don't care. I want to jump. Consequences be damned. I lean in slightly as he follows, pausing when the whisper of his breath brushes against my lips. A chance for me to change my mind if I want to, when I hear Trisha's voice break through the silence. I jolt backwards. Every choice I've made up to this point hitting me full force. Claire Elizabeth Andrews, she shouts as she scans around the bar, locking on me in an instant and running my way. I jump up to my feet. I jump up to meet her as she reaches me, feeling him climbing to his feet behind me. I am so sorry. I deserve an award for being the worst friend in the world. How did I miss that whole situation back there? She blurts out in a rush, pausing when her eyes bounce to the stranger at my back. You know what? I can go back in. It seems you're being well taken care of out here. So sorry I interrupted. She quickly begins her escape, winking at me without even trying to hide her attempt to shove me down this man's throat, hoping he devours me. Actually, I think I'm ready to go if that's alright with you. I'm sticky and gross, plus I have to figure out where I can buy a cat around here. She pauses, disappointment flashing through her face. She knows firsthand how long it's been since I have given a man the time of day. Are you sure? She questions, and I nod in response. Yes, I pause. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Tyler, he says. It was nice to meet you. It's nice to meet you too, Tyler, she says, giving an overly obvious thumbs up. I'm Claire's best friend, Trish. On that note, it's definitely time to go. I laugh, trying to hide how absolutely mortified I am at myself right now. Tyler, thanks so much again for helping me out. Have a good night. I climb into the driver's seat, watching as he slowly walks away. What was that? She laughs. I know you're all anti-one-night stands, but he was worth breaking your rule. He was fine. I glance back, even though I know I shouldn't, catching him look back, and a smile cracks across his face. I smile back, wishing I'd let Trish walk away. That was chapter 2 of Unbreak Me by C.A. Grieco. Again, this is the Magnolia Falls Ranch series. This is the first, and the second one comes out in May. It is called Unchain Me. And from what I'm told, it follows the story of 2 other characters in the story that I absolutely fell in love with, one of them being Trish. Like I said, take heed to the trigger warnings if they bother you or if they affect you in a negative way. Your mental health is more important than a good book, and this is a good one. So subscribe for more, and I will see you guys next time.